to the right, caught over the middle, and into.
He's at the 45. Are you kidding? He's gonna go!
Already gets hit, the ball is out, and Philadelphia has it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk, streaming to you guys live on DSM Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. If you guys are new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. And also check out the link tree in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive with today's show, head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. Hit that subscribe button, like, comment. This is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, questions, and concerns pulled up. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter @DylanJD98. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. You can check him out on Twitter as well, @ScottyDrown. My man, we were on a little hiatus. You were living it up down in the MIA, down in Miami last week. Congrats to your boy. Congrats to his wife.
Yeah, thank you.
And obviously Thursday night football fell with the Eagles and Phillies World Series. So I did a combined DSM pregame live rather than an episode of Turf Talk last Thursday. This is the first one. It's the first one in about 10 days, maybe a little bit more. So welcome back.
Too long, man. Too long. I'm happy to be back. Just getting everything shared out here. But it was a great time down in Miami, of course. I will tell you, man, I don't know if I could ever do the South. The heat, man, I just can't get with it. Yeah, I sweat a lot. It's just not for me, like in a living environment. And we didn't spend too much time around the beach. So like it was really hot and just out in Miami.
Probably humid as hell.
Only went to the beach one time. Luckily, we had a pool at the Airbnb. That was nice. But, man, it's too hot down there. I can do a week by the beach. Yeah. That's about it, man. I can't move down there. But I'm happy to be back up north. Obviously, came up after the Phillies are outed in the World Series, which obviously sucked. Literally, my man was getting married. And I'm like, looking at my phone, like, we're all dancing.
Watching the Phillies get put out of their misery.
Damn. Yeah, as we got the sparklers out at the end of the night, it was like, damn, closing time on the Phils. And it felt like
drink away that pain, brother.
Exactly. You had to drink it away, forget about it, and then revisit it on Sunday morning. But luckily the Birds are still 8-0. We're going to talk about that today. That's the good vibes. And that's where we're at. Sixers season, Eagles season. We got to move on and keep it rolling. But
yes,
I'm happy to be back, man. I'm happy to talk some NFL today.
For sure, and you served up the first topic right on the plate here. The Philadelphia Eagles remain undefeated, 8-0 as they beat the Houston Texans on a short week, 29-17 on the road. Jalen Hurts, 21 of 27, 243 passing, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Miles Sanders, 17 carries, 93 yards, 1 touchdown. Dallas Goedert was the story of this game, 8 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 4 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown. The ball was pretty evenly distributed around from Jalen Hurts. Last Thursday night, the Eagles were able to run the ball with success, and reversely, the Eagles were able to turn Davis Mills over. They picked him off 2 times. The one negative would be that Damian Pierce and the Texans were able to kind of exploit the Eagles' defensive line and their run-stopping ability without rookie Jordan Davis in the lineup, kind of anchoring down the middle of that line. But all in all, 12-point win, another cover for the Eagles. I believe, if my memory serves correct, because the Phillies World Series was on the same time, I believe it was tied at halftime. I could be wrong. It might have been 14-7, but I believe it was 14-14 at halftime. And then, so if it was 14-14 at halftime, the Eagles defense gave up 3 points in the second half. The offense was able to put together some timely possessions. Also, one more thing before I throw it to you. The first possession of the game, Scotty, the Eagles offense marches down the field, down 7-0, and they respond with an 8-minute drive to start the game and cap it off with 6. So thoughts on this one? I know you're away. I know there was some Phillies baseball going on at the highest level at the same time, but eyes were still on the Eagles. And just what were your overall thoughts on this win?
Yeah, at the end of the day, a win's a win. Obviously, a little closer in the first half than you would like, but at
Mhm.
any given Sunday, man, you're not going to be able to beat everybody in the
Or
first half of
Thursday
every
in this
game.
case.
Yeah, any given Thursday, even more so on Thursdays.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, to come out dominate the second half like they've been doing all season, it was great to see that. Great to see the turnaround. Obviously, Hurts had his third turnover of the season. Oh my God. He obviously fumbled twice in this game, lost one. But I expect him to clean that up. You got out of there. You were able to get a 12-point win. And my question is, I just keep seeing it, especially on TikTok. I know it's a lot of trolling and stuff, but when did a 12.2 possession win not become enough? Like, when did it become not enough, not good enough of a win?
Oh
The
man.
9-point win, the 2-possession win against the Cowboys.
Oh,
Since when is that not enough for a win? Only for the Eagles. I swear. That's the
that's
only
what I was going to
logic
say,
that's used on.
especially when you look around the rest of the league on Sunday and you witness what happened. Once again, we're sitting here saying, like, you don't think these other teams that were favorites that came away with an actual loss, they lost the game. You don't think that team and that fan base would be happy with what some would call a not good enough win, an ugly
Right.
win? And I wouldn't view this as an ugly win. It wasn't the first half you were expecting. You're right. Being tied with Houston is not what you were expecting. It's a short week on the road. Second half came out. They adjusted. The offense took over, and the defense only gave up 3 points like they should have done from the jump. All right, you want to get on the run defense. You want to get on them in the first half. That's fine. But ultimately, like you said, they covered again, Scotty. Like,
they covered again.
They're not just winning games. They covered, man. The Eagles are 8-0, and I believe in only 2 of their wins of the 8 were decided by 3 points or less. The rest were by at least, I want to say, by at least 6 points or more. And this was the third, I believe, that was decided by double digits or more.
Yeah.
Like,
literally.
What are we doing, man?
It's like it's raising this bar that doesn't exist for
moving the goalpost every week.
The goalpost, literally. It's what it is every week. I just wanted to point out about the huge, obviously it was the second possession of the game, but the Eagles' first possession of the game. Mm-hmm. And you talk about the Texans coming out scoring right away in that first quarter. To come back, like you said, hold the ball for 8 minutes.
Right. Not
just get those 7 points back, but take all of their momentum, all of the chemistry that they built on that first drive.
It was beautiful.
Throw it out the window because they got to start over right at the end of that first quarter. That's what you talk about, a dominating team, a team that imposes their will.
Right.
Yes, it got close. There was a mistake made, right, to keep the Texans in the game in the first half. They were able to come out, force mistakes out of the Texans, take over the game and win by 2 possessions. Overall, I'm very impressed. 2 things I would say coming out of this game. Smitty is due for a big one, and boy, oh boy, did he have a big game against the Washington Commanders the last time they played. He was very quiet in this one. Obviously, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert had his game of the season so far. That was a big game we've been waiting for. Miles Sanders had a great game. I'm thinking Smitty is about due for a big one here, as he did go off against the Washington Commanders the last time they played. The other thing I'll say is the Pierce thing, right? The running game, 5.1 yards per carry. The only thing I would say is that it does give me a sense of nervousness when we go against like a Tennessee Titans game. Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what I was thinking. I was watching the Titans play the Chiefs. I believe it was on Sunday Night Football. And I was like, man, this is going to be a tough matchup because that's Derrick Henry. And you can't just shut down Derrick Henry. And so when I see Pierce doing that to our defense, it's concerning. There's no Jordan Davis, as we pointed out. That's a little concerning, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, right? 1 week at a time. Commanders don't have anybody in their backfield, even to the level of Pierce. So, 1 week at a time, those would be the only 2, if you want to call like negatives. They're not really negatives, just things to watch out for, I would say. And then shout out to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man. We got to extend this guy leading the NFL in interceptions, my guy.
Listen, this is a conversation we've had weeks ago, and I know other shows here on DSM have brought up this conversation about all of the work Hallie Roseman may have to do this offseason to bring
Yeah.
back some of this talent that's in place. You shout out CJ Gardner-Johnson. I was going to do that if you did not. Comes away with another interception.
Yep.
I believe this was the 4th consecutive week he's come away with an interception, leads the league. James Bradbury comes away with another interception. And shout out Javon Hargrave, 3 sacks. He was dominant on Thursday night. But just Bradbury, and if there's one thing you could take away, you're right. And it's the Texans, so it's hard to applaud and, just kind of admire what they were able to do and gush over what they were able to do against Davis Mills. I get it, but you can complain about the run defense all you want. This pass defense is as legit as it gets. Scotty, they didn't throw at Darius Slay.
Yeah.
You can't throw at Darius Slay right now. And guess what CB2 is doing on the opposite side? Pleading, begging that you throw his way because you have to. And he's been almost as dominant. The only reason his numbers are slightly behind Slay's is because he's targeted much more because no one's throwing at Slay. And then so right now, for my money, you can argue with the wall behind me. The Philadelphia Eagles have the best cornerback tandem in the National Football League. And then you add in that safety in CGJ, who now leads the league with 5 interceptions. We talk like in baseball, with pitchers like inning eaters. Like you want guys that can just come out and eat innings and not have to use your work. Like, dude, he's not only producing at a star level numbers wise, Scotty, he just eats snaps. He plays 90+% of the snaps for this team, it feels like. And so he's been unreal.
To just carry on your point even further, just about the snaps and kind of his importance to this defense and why I'm going to start hammering the table. Bradbury's probably equally as important as CGJ as far as bringing those guys back. I think Bradbury's just maybe a little more unrealistic. Not to say that both aren't realistic. If they want to be here, they can be here. Howie will make that happen. But when I look at CGJ's importance, I just think back to that Dallas game in the second half when he goes down for just 2 series. And they immediately score 2 touchdowns. Kayvon Wallace is exposed. And it just shows you that not only is CGJ making those plays, but he's in the place where he's supposed to be, even when he's not making the plays. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you brought the name up. Even without injury, this man found himself in coverage on the first drive for the Texans' opening touchdown. Kayvon Wallace. Wasn't terrible coverage. He was outsized. Still had his back turned towards the backfield. Didn't know where the ball was. I don't know why he's on the team, Scotty. I really don't. I mean, he's one of these dudes like that. I don't know why. I just need to like mute him or unfollow him on social media, but I still have him because I followed him ever since they drafted him out of Clemson because I just thought he was going to be that guy.
Called him Weapon X, man.
Yeah,
man. Get out of here, dog.
He's annoying, man. Like when you don't produce and then you bring that like Jalen Reagor attitude of
that's a good
my
example.
back's against the wall. I got all these hits. Like, stop, man. Like you just stink. You're not good at your job.
The wall because you put yourself against the wall.
Your back's facing the backfield because you're not looking for the football and you're getting scored on against the Houston Texans. I don't even know why he's on the team. Anyway, the defense gave up 17 points again. That kind of feels like the bar, right? Like they're not really allowing teams past that 17 to 20 marker right now, Scotty. And we can, like I said, we can complain about Gannon, which we will at times with his soft coverage. We can complain about the run defense without Jordan Davis. The bottom line is the defense is ultimately doing its job week in and week out. Offensively, last thing I'll say about that first drive, because it's, you just admire it so much. We're going to talk about pace on Sixers pregame live in just over an hour.
Yeah.
That's something that the Eagles did on that opening drive, and it's something that I really love that they can do going forward is, you came out, you punched us in the mouth, you scored first. We weren't expecting that. We don't have to play catch up. We're not going to play catch up. We're not going to get away from our game because you punched us in the mouth on the opening drive. We're going to play to our pace. We're going to play our game, and we're going to take 8+ minutes off the clock, and we're going to punch it down your throat, and we're going to score, and now you're going to have to decide what to do next, your move. So that's what I love.
Imposing your will. Yep.
For sure, man. Not dictating and playing to what the opponents don't do well, playing to what you do well, playing to your strengths, not just trying to exploit a weakness. staying true to what you do, what your team's good at.
And how about this? The last 3 games, right? I wanted to look it up to be sure because I knew in my mind that there's a reason I was thinking of this. Obviously, it seems like teams have like tried to shut Jalen as far as a runner completely down. They've like tried to
The
take
numbers
that
are
out
down,
of this
man.
game.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
the
don't.
numbers are
Do
down.
you think you're watching every week? Do you think it's
Yeah.
do you think it's that defense, or do you think it's his
Him
mindset
just
as
evolving.
developing as a quarterback is kind of changing to sticking in the pocket and delivering the football with his arm more?
It very well could be that. It could be also similar to your point, the fact that he has guys that can get open every
Yeah.
single play now, so he's not having to use his legs. But no, I think that's a great point to bring up. Is it really these defenses that are honing in
Probably
on
a
that? Or is that
combination
just
of both.
Jalen Hurts evolving, which it's great either way, right? The fact that he shows he can do it. So that's all that really matters. I don't know if you have anything else on this game. I got one more thing just to
Go ahead.
ask you as just something that popped in my head. And I
Mhm.
know it's something we'll talk about down the stretch a lot. But just imagine, obviously, we saw what the Phillies were able to do with home field advantage. People talking about 1 and out, divisional round for the. You really think
you mean
that-
Cowboys fans?
Yeah,
Cowboys fans are talking about
you
that.
really think that people are going to come into Philly
Mhm.
and beat us? I mean, good luck. Can you imagine having to come into Philadelphia, Eagles as a 1 seed, like 14-2?
Yeah.
Us, we're going to be like
Yeah.
jumping out of our bodies.
Yeah.
And you think
just-
you're going to come in and run over the
Yeah.
Eagles that are
And I'll
close to
pose the
number 1 in
question
every
to those
statistic.
people, Scotty. Who? Who? Throw me the team that's going to do it. The one argument you can make me is if San Fran came to town, because I talked about that with Phil.
If they
Not
get
saying
right, get healthy.
that is the one matchup that worries me. Not saying the Eagles lose the game, but it worries me the most out of all the teams in the NFC. Outside of that being this very specific matchup in the divisional round after the bye, who is coming here and doing that? Is it the Minnesota Vikings? No, we already watched that movie. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care if it's
Several
Cooper Rush or
times
Dak
we
Prescott.
watched
No,
the
that
Minnesota
movie, not
movie.
happening there. Is it Tom Brady, who, was just so excited about his huge win over the Rams because they finally scored a touchdown with no time left on the clock and scored all of, 16 points in that game?
16
Is it the
big
Rams?
points.
Is it the Rams that continue to fall apart in the fourth quarter and have horrific numbers and score 13 points? Is it Seattle? Is it the Giants who
Smith,
couldn't
right.
beat Seattle? Who is it, man?
Who's coming into Philly
Riddle
to
me
knock
that.
this
Stop.
Birds
The
team off?
only team that I view in the NFC as a true test to the Eagles advancing is the San Francisco 49ers at this point. And that relies on health, and that relies on what Jimmy Garoppolo shows up as well. So
Yeah.
to your point, it's no one in the area. It's not even like other fan bases. I think I do think like a lot of people acknowledge how talented and good the Eagles are this year. It's Cowboy fans on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all
I
it
think
is.
that's fair. I think that's fair.
But like I said, man, I just mentioned all these NFC teams. So this is what we're gonna do. Biggest takeaways from week 9 around the NFL. Because obviously we just went over the Eagles game. They were Thursday night.
Packers suck.
Yeah, so that's where it's literally the game I'm on to start with. So let's just get right into it. I tweeted
My
about
God,
Aaron
man.
Rodgers mid-game. Scotty, I can't watch it anymore. I
With
can't.
you, That's
So,
ugly football.
Aaron Rodgers, talent-wise, it's not so much the talent perspective overall that what I'm about to, make this analogy to. But you remember my thoughts on Ben Roethlisberger last year. Ben Roethlisberger is one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation.
Yeah.
Right? Super Bowl champion, future Hall of Famer. The size, the mobility, the arm strength, all of it. Ben was phenomenal. However, I'm not going to remember Ben Roethlisberger and his totality of work as well as I'm going to remember how poorly he left.
Finished his
how
career.
poorly he
Yeah.
walked out of the game because of how bad he looked over the last 2 to 3 years. That's what I'm starting to look at with Aaron Rodgers over these first 9 games. It's one season. Dude was the MVP of the league last year, so hasn't been a long body of work here that he's dropped off. And it's not all on him. It is the offense, it's the play calling, it's the receivers. I get it. But I am so sick of him going on talk show, doing interviews on the Pat McAfee show, and doing interviews post game, and deflecting, and kind of just giving this stubborn, childish, like I said, deflecting personality right now. When you show up and play, do you know that you just played the worst defense in the National Football, the worst defense in the National Football League, and you scored 9 effing points. You threw 3 interceptions, 2 of which were in the red zone. The second one, you tried to throw a screen to on 4th and goal to an offensive lineman, and you tossed it right to Aiden Hutchinson, a defensive lineman, picked you off at the goal line.
And my thing on just piggybacking off of your comments there about kind of tarnishing his legacy in a sense, and kind of how we remember Aaron Rodgers. There's levels to this stuff, right? There's levels to quarterback legacies. Like Tom Brady could probably have a terrible season this season and then have a terrible season next year, and I'm probably still going to remember Tom Brady for his championships. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers' resume is not built like that, right? He's not built as a winner throughout his career. No. He's got one. He's got MVPs, sure.
Scotty, he was my favorite. I loved Peyton when I was younger. It pained me to see Peyton go out, although he won a Super Bowl. Pained me to see that Super Bowl play out the way it did.
Yeah.
Then it transferred into Aaron, and I loved watching Aaron. And up to last year, he's the most talented quarterback, like skill wise, arm talent. Yeah. He is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen with my own 2 eyeballs. That is deteriorating. Can't even get that word out. Before my eyes this season. Again, it doesn't all fall on him. Yeah. It's not identical to Big Ben because Big Ben's talent and mobility and age caught up to him. It's not just that with Aaron. It's got, if I put you on this pedestal, if you are the back-to-back reigning MVP, you are a future Super Bowl champion. Hell, you made the NFC Championship game last year. Yep. And you scored 9 points against the Detroit Lions, a game in which you threw 3 interceptions.
If that's not your bounce back game, what is? The Cowboys?
Scotty, they've had numerous games that we head into that week saying this is the game they win.
This has got to be the game they
turn things around, and they continue to lose.
They continue to lower the bar.
Like do the Giants and the Jets losses look more okay now because of the body of work they've put in throughout the year? Yeah, a tiny bit. They're still bad losses. The Commanders loss, inexcusable. This Detroit loss is the worst loss of them all. You got routed by Buffalo. The score doesn't tell the whole story. You got your asses kicked in Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. I really don't know what else to say about Green Bay. Dude, they're cooked. They're 3-6, and Minnesota is going to walk into the NFC North title.
The only reason that Green Bay is even still in this conversation as far as why we're even talking about him on here is because of Aaron Rodgers. Other than him,
100%.
There is zero reason to talk about this Green Bay team because they suck. I mean, it's as simple as that. They're not a good football team. If you go out there and lose to not only Detroit, but a division rival Detroit, right? You don't have any incentive in beating them.
And I'm just so sick and tired of his comments and the smugness,
I gotta remain optimistic
and the arrogance. And he just deflects responsibility every week. And it's never I with him. It's never, ever I.
They're on there sizing him up, right? Like, you're going to go out there and beat the Cowboys this week, right? And it's like, dude, maybe they do. I'm not putting my money on that at all. But, like, come on. Like, what are we talking about here? Just like this hype fest. This team, what are they, 3-6 right now? I mean, come
they're
on,
done, Scotty. They're not.
You shouldn't even be getting segments on the show, right? Like you're 3-6.
It's only because they're boys, and it brings eyeballs. That's all it is.
He needs to focus on football, man.
It's never I with him. It is never I need to do better. I made this mistake. No. It's constantly we. And while he's not throwing guys under the bus and pointing fingers, it's always we. How about you as the leader? How about you as the $50 million man? The reason they couldn't go out and get you any damn help, the reason Devontae Adams is no longer there because you want You want to travel in the offseason the last 2 years and not make your decision. You're going to host Jeopardy. You're going to bring all this attention to your team. Then you're going to take all their money and wonder why your receivers stink. And then it's we didn't execute. We need to be better. No, dude. Was it we when you threw the 2 interceptions inside the 5-yard line last week? No, it wasn't. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about this, dude, this week.
Fair enough.
Can't do it. I can't
Fair
do
enough.
it. Skimming around the league, just going to gloss over these 2 games. The Chargers win one in overtime. Very weird game. Or it might have been at the end of regulation. It almost went to overtime. Against the Falcons, 20-17. There was a Chargers drive in which Eckler fumbled, in which a Falcons defensive lineman picked it up and started to take it the other way, and then he let the ball fall out of his hands. And then the Chargers recovered it at the 40 and still got back in the field goal range for Cameron Dicker. So I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, the Chargers come away with a 3-point win. What were you about to say?
I was just counting here because like I saw the score 20-17, and I feel like there's like 5 or 6 games that were at that score this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of close games, man.
Yeah,
there's 2 right here. Vikings, Commanders, 2017. Jets, Bills, 2017. Titans, Chiefs, 2017. The Ravens scored 27. The Jaguars, 27-20. So a lot of scores right around that. You're correct there. But let's get to that game that I just mentioned. The Buffalo Bills, Scotty. Yeah. We're going to get the power rankings a little bit later into this episode. The Buffalo Bills, your former number 1 team in your power rankings, fall to the New York Jets. They're now 6-2. The Jets are 6-3. 2017. And misery loves company. Josh Allen could be out potentially for the rest of the year. I don't think he's going to allow that to happen. I think he's trying to win now. But with this UCL injury, he's not playing this week. He's already missed the last 3 days of practice. He's not playing this week.
Yeah.
And this is a week-on-week type of injury here that I'm hearing. Don't know if it requires surgery or not. So the Bills lose, and they lose their star quarterback.
And, man, it's in a game where he rushes for over 80 yards, right?
He was bad. He loose with the football, turned the football over. Imagine if Jalen Hurts lost the game to the Jets and had those interceptions. Imagine what the narrative would be.
Literally, that's why the Eagles are better than the Bills right now, because of those decision-making processes. Jalen Hurts' decision-making, the lack of mistakes, have put the Eagles where they are right now, which is why, once again, it emphasizes how special every single week that the Eagles still remain undefeated, how special that really is, because things like this happen. And it's just not happening for them right now. But the Bills, they're in trouble, man. I mean, you talk about playing the Jets. Now they're 6-3, you're 6-2. You're one half a game ahead of them. You play the Vikings this upcoming week, right? And you're gonna have Case Keenum starting at quarterback, right? And so I'm just like looking at this 7-1 Vikings team. I believe they come into Buffalo to take on the Bills. Do the Bills end up 6-3? Now you're tied with the Jets. I don't know who the Jets play this upcoming week, but it's getting sketchy in Buffalo. It can go. It just shows you how fast things can turn upside down, right? Not only the turnovers, the loss in this game, but it may extend into the rest of the season. And who's to say? You say it's a week-to-week injury with the UCL injury. Who's to say he's not going to play at an MVP level, right? You're not going to put your body on the line with an UCL injury.
They're stupid
the way that he does. So I mean,
like you got to think future-wise for this kid, and for this organization.
Very young. He's a guy that needs his body to be right for him to play the way he plays. So it's sketchy nonetheless, man. And while the Bills moved down in my power rankings, maybe I didn't move them down enough for what's coming because I don't know. It's a grim road,
you got to take it one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they make
you don't know
what
what happens this week against Minnesota and going forward and how long he's out for. So it's a week-to-week thing. But just a side note, I don't even know. Again, you know how I feel about the Jets.
Yeah,
I don't even know what this loss was. Obviously, you have to give kudos and you have to give props to New York and Robert Saleh's defense, especially coming out of the half. But Josh Allen was bad, and it brings me to this point. And Shout out. I don't even love a lot of the work the dude does. I don't love a lot of his takes. But shout out Nick Wright for a clip I saw on his show. And basically he brought up the conversation of why do we talk? I brought it up to you before the season started. And obviously I know Allen and the Bills beat Mahomes and the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. I get it. They won the matchup head to head this year. I get that. But he's basically saying, why do we look at Mahomes and Allen in this light and talk about it in this light and as closely and compare it to Brady and Peyton? Because it's just not that. It's not, again, I get it. They won the regular season matchup this year. I get it. But Peyton and Brady, essentially his talking points, and he's correct, where Brady was the winner. He had the championships. He had the rings. And Peyton was this, Brady beat Peyton's ass in the playoffs for years on years until Peyton finally got around them once or twice, right? But Peyton had all the accolades. Peyton at that point, while Brady had the rings, Peyton had X amount more MVPs, X amount more all-pro, first team offense, all these accolades.
Yeah.
So Peyton, right? Mahomes is the winner. Mahomes has the rings and the championship performances. And Mahomes also has the accolades. Mahomes is the one with the MVP.
Yeah.
Allen isn't. Mahomes is the one with the more all-pro first team. Mahomes is where did this... Josh Allen is an incredible talent, man. He's not Patrick Mahomes. And I don't like how people try to compare it that closely.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I don't know, man. I don't know. I get where you're coming from. I guess in my eyes, Patrick Mahomes is not Tom Brady to me either. Not yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess in both senses, I do agree with you. It's not as close as they try to make it. I get the trajectory. I get what they're trying to make happen, right? The media is just trying to make it happen.
Right, or how the fact that it's just
not
two
that
best
close
quarterbacks in the league going in.
Right. You can leave it there. But you gotta I guess the thing with this conversation is every single time you bring up and you want to compare Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, you have to bring up the playoff matchups. That is the key, right? Who wins the playoff matchups? You're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. You have to bring up the playoff matchups, and right there is where that conversation ends. And then you can get into accolades. Even obviously, Mahomes has the MVP.
Right. Mahomes has the
Super Bowl
right
MVP. He has a Super Bowl win. So all around, it just really isn't adding up.
Appearances,
it shows you in reality, Josh Allen is not even as accomplished as say a Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's been in the Super Bowl, man.
In fact, Scotty, he's less accomplished than Joe Burrow at this point.
Quite literally.
In terms of
it's interesting,
total,
man.
why
does he get the hype?
The kid is the second best thing in the league right now. But I don't think the bridge from 1 to 2 is as close as people
or
say.
even obtainable.
Let me throw you another quarterback's name out there right now. That's getting a lot of hot conversation around.
Before you throw it out there, I just wanted to point out Mahomes has been using his legs a lot more this season as well. And he's showing what he could. Third or second and 20 or third and 20 against the Titans that he ran for.
By the way,
was
Mahomes
ridiculous.
Mahomes is the one that lost his wide receiver one. Josh Allen still has wide receiver one.
But hey, we talked about this before the season, man, and we talked about these specific points.
Yeah.
This is what Mahomes had on the table for him to prove.
Yeah,
and he is following through all the way right now.
Yeah.
Literally.
And like I said, they lost the head-to-head matchup. And the ironic thing is, I know it ended with a Patrick Mahomes interception. I know he threw 2 of them that game. I get it. But that doesn't mean that the matchup is close, right? Let me throw another quarterback's name at you. Now, I know they got the win. I already brought this game up, 2017. Justin Herbert. He's been catching a lot of heat, a lot of strays over the last couple weeks, Scotty. Is he not what we projected him to be? Does he not belong on this pedestal, this top 5 quarterback, this young star where he's just outside of the Mahomes and the Burrow and that conversation? He's right there with Burrow. And I only bring it up because, again, I know they got the win this week, but the 2 previous weeks, they looked pretty pedestrian.
Yeah.
And at some point, I love to bring up this point when we talk about the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. At some point, winning has to start to matter.
I agree.
Winning has to start to play a factor. So if Justin Herbert, albeit with a lot of injuries on both sides of the ball this year, I know it's not completely fair to totally judge the team right now. But if Joe Burrow cannot get his team to the postseason again, what light should we look at him in?
Or you mean Justin Herbert, right?
Justin Herbert. I'm sorry, Justin Herbert.
Yeah. I'm there, man. I think I may have been one of the people that was throwing those strays his way, because I was somebody that was very high on him coming into this season. We talked about that before the season started when we were talking about the quarterbacks. We did place him right outside with, I think we may have even had him either before or after Joe Burrow. Maybe it was switched between the both of us, but nonetheless,
I think we had him flipped.
We had both of them right outside of those top two right there. And like you said, I think it comes down to winning, decision-making in the big moments, your coach trusting you. All of those things come into factor, and they're all questionable characteristics of Justin Herbert right now. The intangibles. He's got the rocket arm, right? He's got the rocket arm. But why is Jalen Hurts somebody that everybody says he has a noodle arm out here winning more games than Justin Herbert? That doesn't make sense to me. So at some point, the leadership, that has to come into effect. The intangibles have to come into effect and balance everything out with the talent. And I don't think we're seeing that in LA with Justin Herbert. Not to say that he can't turn it around, that he can't develop those, but I think we may have just jumped the gun with him a little bit. I think we may have placed him a little bit ahead of where he's actually at. And sometimes that's okay, but it is good to point it out, hold ourselves accountable for putting him on that pedestal, because right now he doesn't look like he deserves to be there.
I completely agree, man. Two more games I kind of want to gloss over before we move on to the power rankings in this week. The Seahawks take down the Cardinals 31-21. Seattle is now 6-3. Reversely, Arizona is 3-6, even with DeAndre Hopkins coming back. Geno Smith has his team in the lead for their division. You know my thoughts on the Niners. I still think the Niners will ultimately win that division at the end of the year, but the Seahawks nonetheless continue to find a way to win games. But Buda Baker, I don't know if you saw his post-game locker room speech to the guys. They were all on a knee around him and almost in tears, man, screaming and not screaming, but yelling and trying to get them fired up. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of losing at home. Each and every one of us have to put in more work, watch more film, do more of this. How surprised are you that the Cardinals are where they are right now? Because let's not forget, this very same Cardinals team almost. Now, obviously, DeAndre Hopkins just came back 3 weeks ago, but this very same Cardinals team was the division winner last year. This Cardinals team was, 11-2 at one point, or 10-1 at one point last year. They were very, very talented and good last year. And we talked about in the offseason how they really did nothing to improve. They outside of Marquise Hollywood Brown, they didn't improve themselves that much. And now he's injured for the remainder of the year, I believe. But how shocked are you that they just continue to lose games?
I guess I'm not entirely shocked that they continue to lose, or that they're in the position that they're in, because quite honestly, we looked at the teams in the beginning of the season and each team probably got better in a sense. Seahawks, we did not even see coming. No. That's exactly where I would go, because the Rams aren't having a great season right now. The 49ers are not having a great season right now. And the Arizona Cardinals are still not able to take advantage of that. That's how low they really are. And so that's where my surprise comes in, is the shape of the division as a whole and how they've kind of fit themselves still with the division being so weak at the bottom of it. It's concerning. Buda Baker speaks to the culture that they're operating with, obviously. The Kyler Murray contract speaks to the culture that they're operating in, obviously. They need to watch film. This isn't stuff you need to be saying 8, 10 weeks into the season. So, like, we're talking about watching film. We need to watch more film, study more. That's obviously pointing in one direction. Everybody obviously is not contributing to the point where they need to be. And it's concerning, from a sense of they do have a ton of talent on that team, right? Like there is talent. DeAndre Hopkins, obviously Hollywood Brown's injured. Zach Ertz is a guy that's been talented for a while. Kyler Murray is a guy that's renowned to be talented, right? He's supposed to be. They're just not putting it all together.
I had
James
him top
Conner's
10.
been beat up. Yeah, and it just something's not adding up there. Is it Cliff Kingsbury? Is it Kyler Murray? Is it both? Is it the offense? Is it the defense? You know what I mean? Like, what is really wrong? Because week to week, it seems like it's something different. It's like Kyler Murray's coming off the field yelling at Cliff Kingsbury. You know what I mean?
I'll throw this word out to you that we use with a lot of other teams that are struggling right now. Identity. And I watch Arizona Cardinals games, and I don't know, just as a viewer, what they're trying to accomplish offensively.
What they're good at.
I have no idea what they're good at. They can't run the football. One game, Kyler's running and picking up 80 yards. One game, he's not leaving the pocket and running for 7 yards.
Exactly.
I don't know what they're trying to accomplish offensively at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. It looks discombobulated, and they're not winning games that they need to. They're not staying in the race, and now it's looking like maybe the Rams can get back in the mix. I don't know if we want to even talk about the Rams, but
actually, I want to talk about another team with you.
49ers and Seahawks at the top of that division right now, and I don't see either of those teams kind of catching up to them, honestly.
No, me neither. Is Josh McDaniels one of the worst coaches of all time?
Oh my God, man. They go out and
by the way,
Jags.
By the way, we already discussed Matt Rule's firing a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had not mentioned yet what is happening and transpiring in Indianapolis. So let us get to that in a second. But I want to kind of advertise that by starting with a head coach that should be fired already. Yeah. Josh McDaniels and this Las Vegas Raiders team is a goddamn disaster, Scotty. Once again, they're up big, up 20-7 in the first half, up 20-10 at halftime. And what do? They get blanked in the second half against the Jacksonville Jaguars, outscored 17-0 in the second half, and they lose that game 27-20. What is the problem in Vegas? Now Hunter Renfrow, I believe I just saw that he's done for the season potentially. Darren Waller is hurt as well.
IR.
What's happening to this team that we thought potentially could fight with the Chargers and the Chiefs of the world in the AFC West?
I think a lot of it is coaching, man. I think a lot of it is coaching. You know, like this game specifically. Can you blame Derek Carr for this game? Like 21 for 36, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, right? Like what is the issue? Right. It's got to be
Devontae Adams balled out.
It's got to be the culture, right? They each and every week they're once again lacking in identity. For a while, we thought this was Josh Jacobs, a run-first offense. Then they come out and they're hoisting the ball through the air. It's once again, it's one of those discombobulated, bad cultured organizations where it's hard to see. Is it Josh McDaniels? Is it Derek Carr? Week to week, is it the defense? But overall, I would honestly start by chopping the top of the head off, and that would be Josh McDaniels, in my personal opinion.
I'll tell you what,
we've seen this story before with Josh McDaniels, man. We've
also just witnessed recently Derek Carr and this same team make a playoff run last year.
Exactly.
So, and Derek Carr, while not playing out of this world with these weapons we thought he would have this year in the addition of Devontae Adams, but hasn't been horrible. Josh Jacobs actually had a much better year on the ground than I expected. Devontae Adams, outside of 2 weeks ago with 3 yards or whatever, has produced. It's let me read you the game script here from the third quarter on. So starting the second half, here's what they did, Scotty. And I think this just kind of tells you the story, whether it's discipline, whether it's execution or finishing or coaching. So to start the third quarter, they give up a 12-play drive for a touchdown to Jacksonville. Then Vegas comes out, 7 plays, 22 yards. 22 yards in 7 plays. Next drive, Jacksonville, 13-play, touchdown, 82 yards. Following drive, are you ready for this one? Vegas, 11 plays, 37 yards. Followed by that, 4 plays, minute and 9 seconds. Following possession, 4 plays, 38 seconds. Following last possession, 5 plays, 55 seconds, turnover to end the game. Like,
Jesus.
My
God,
at one point or another, the players have to produce,
yeah.
but that is just complete and utter
Who would you
breakdowns in
fire
execution.
first? Josh McDaniels or Nathaniel Hackett?
Oh, wow. You know what? Do you know what? I would fire Josh McDaniels first.
I think I would too.
And
man.
I think Nathaniel Hackett might be the worst head coach I've ever seen in my lifetime. But Josh McDaniels, I thought, had more offensively. Now, obviously, the injuries can play a factor, but had more offensively. Josh McDaniels had a team that made the playoffs last year. Josh McDaniels is supposed to be this kind of boy genius, this next tier of head coach. And like you said, we have seen him fail before, so I don't know why people expected differently, but they did. And it's kind of the same result, same story here in Vegas. They're a mess, man. And again, it's 20-7. 20-7. And you lose. This is the third game they've had a 13-plus lead in this season, and they've lost all of them. You can go back to the Cardinals game. One of the Cardinals' only wins. The Cardinals game when it was a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter. Fans were popping champagne bottles in the stands, and they blew it and lost the game in overtime.
To the Cardinals. You know what I mean?
To the Cardinals team who Buda Baker was just crying about not winning and how he's tired of losing. That's who they lost to. So, anyway, last thing I kind of want to gloss over. I'm sorry. I just there's a lot of storylines to go over.
We got a lot, man.
The Miami Dolphins. Now, obviously, the story is different. So it's 35-32. They went over the Bears. Justin Fields, who I'm still I don't know. I see a lot of hype on Twitter, and I don't get it, Scotty. I'm just not a Justin
fantasy
Fields
quarterback at this point. He's a great fantasy option. That's where I'm at.
He threw 3 touchdowns. I get it. 123 passing yards. I mean, my God, the kid ran for 178 rushing yards.
My God,
but to me,
I didn't look at the numbers yet. But goodness,
Scotty, but you know what that tells me though? Like, to me, like, what was the result of that game? A loss, right? Now, no matter how close it was, if it shouldn't have been that close, whatever, it was a loss, correct? At the end of the day, what is your quarterback running 15 times for 178 yards probably telling you? It's probably telling you that's losing football. No. 178 rushing yards to 128 passing yards.
Yeah.
And I know this probably isn't the game to nitpick at Justin Fields because ultimately it was probably his best game of the season. But from a quarter, I guess the same thing that I view Jalen Hurts, but even to a greater extent, I just don't see it with Justin Fields in terms of a passer in this league. But I want to talk about the team that did win. Now, obviously, it was a 4-point spread, I believe. So I guess Vegas saw something that it was supposed to be a close game. But Tua, man, 21 of 30, 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyreek goes for 143 again. Waddle goes for 85. Both found the end zone. In games that Tua has started and finished outside of the injury hiccups, the Dolphins are undefeated. And we had them in top 3 of our power rankings early on in the year when they were 3-0 and 2 and this offense was rolling. Were we wrong to discredit and discount them so early on in the season because of his injury? Because when he plays, man, he's back in that MVP conversation. Tyreek might go for 2,000 receiving yards this season. Like, they're dangerous. Then you add in the Bradley Chubb acquisition and extension. The Miami Dolphins, although this win was only a 3-point win over an inferior team, Miami Dolphins are for real, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I don't think we were unfair for writing them off. Honestly, I didn't know if Tua would ever play again this season. So, I mean, when I see something like that, I did not expect him to be back on the football field this soon. But here we are. He's balling out. He's playing really well. And they have probably the most explosive wide receiver tandem in the NFL now. Yeah. You could argue like a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, but right now it's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle all the way. And you talk about Tua and the MVP. I mean, Tyreek Hill is in that MVP combo as well, man. It's kind of ridiculous what he's been able to do to this offense. He's just he just eats up yards. Like, it's ridiculous. But this team is super talented. They have a versatile backfield. It's not the scariest with Mostert and Jeff Wilson, but it's solid enough to go with those weapons on the outside. It's going to be interesting to see how they play out. I don't like the way their defense has looked the last 2 weeks. I think they had a close one against Detroit as well the week before. So the defense definitely needs to get it together in order to be, a legitimate contender, heading into the playoffs. But man, look at that division. Is that the AFC? Is that the AFC East? Is that what they call that one?
Yeah.
With the Jets, Bills, Patriots, and the Dolphins. Jets, Bills, and Dolphins all right now with 6 wins each. Really shows how stacked that division is. But the Dolphins, man, they can play with anybody. I'll put it that way. They can beat anyone on any given day because that offense can explode
It's
at
legit, man.
any given time.
You wanna
And
talk
they're
about
doing it every
quarterback-
game right now with Tua.
You want to talk about a quarterback that has exceeded all expectations. If Jalen Hurts is having
Absolutely.
a great year, Tua is right there with him in terms
Absolutely.
of the similar situations and what the expectations were. He's been phenomenal. Last kind of topic from week 9 and heading into week 10 to go over with you before we finish up with power rankings. Obviously the Falcons and the Panthers play tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Falcons are going to win. Nothing else really to say about it.
I got plays, but
yeah, I got a play I can give everybody, but this is when you think of Thursday night football, this is what you think of. But anyway, the Indianapolis Colts, man, talk to me here. Frank Reich, a week after they fire the OC, and they ultimately bench Matt Ryan for the rookie Sam Ellinger for the remainder of the season. Frank Reich gets the boot, former Eagle OC, Super Bowl champion. And their replacement plan, their contingency plan here from Jim Irsay was to bring in none other than former Colts center, now ESPN analyst, Jeff Saturday. Now, I will say, I don't know if you've heard Jeff Saturday's the clip that's on social media. Get you fired up. Like I'm rooting for Jeff Saturday at this point.
I believe it.
Did you see it or no?
No, I have not seen it. I have not seen it, but I believe it.
Give me your thoughts here, because goddamn, this issue, I feel for Colts fans, man. This issue was never a Carson Wentz issue. It was not a Matt Ryan issue. It is not the head coaching issue. This is a management and ownership issue. Yeah. They hold neither class responsible. Jim Irsay comes out and essentially calls Chris Ballard, the general manager, a winner, Scotty, a winner. In what world? They have gone through quarterback ever since Andrew Luck early retired. They have gone through a new quarterback every single year. They've gone through new play callers, and they have shuffled through head coaches now to this point.
I think saw.
They hold everybody else accountable except for themselves. And you know what happens in situations like that, Scotty? They are going to be stuck for a very long time until they figure that own issue out internally.
I think I saw, Frank Reich being there the last 5 years, I believe. He's had 5 different quarterbacks to start the season each and every year, which, that was kind of the highlight of why this is just completely unfair to Frank Reich, right? He came into that organization, kind of turned them around in a sense, gave them a culture, and then they kind of just threw him and the organizational culture on top of its head, and they've never been able to rebound. The hopes from a Colts fan that I know, I have a boy that's a Colts fan, and he's embarrassed for one. He's embarrassed by the organization. But then on top of that, it's a sense of he's basically saying, like, we need to tank. And I just don't know if this Colts team is built to tank, right? You bring in Jeff Saturday, they're
not supposed to
take this team to tanking. Like, I don't see that. So that's Colts fans' hope is, a Bryce Young or the CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. Yeah. They're hoping for a quarterback, but I just don't see them, getting to that level of bad, because they're a team that we looked at before the season. They
don't draft well, man. They do not develop and draft well, skill position player wise.
That's the problem.
But ultimately, like the hiring is just such a complete joke. And no offense, and I love this clip because he didn't ask for this. This is not at all on Jeff Saturday's shoulders. He didn't ask for this. He was genuinely surprised and shocked that he's in this situation right now.
And bro, I think you phrased that a good way. Like it's like a freaking movie, and it's not in a good way. But like, it's cool, right? Like, it's cool. Like, Jeff Saturday, he does talk a lot of shit on ESPN. He is a good analyst, right? gets in the trenches. He's ingrained in the Colts organization, but it just seems like a fans like me. You know what I mean? Like me fans.
And
it's
that's
just,
probably
it's
what
corny.
ownership's going for at this point. A reason to bring a crowd into the stadium, right? To sell tickets, to sell whatever, and make money still, because they're in a bad place. And the last thing I'll say, it's a terrible look, man, because think about all of the coaches that are just being Scott. He has no coaching experience ever. Now he's never called plays, so he's not going to do it. So now he had to promote from within who's already on the staff, and a 30-year-old, I want to call a quality control assistant to the coach. I read his resume. The resume is nonsense. He's never called plays before in his life. He's young, and he gets the head the play calling duty this week. But let me play this quote for you from Jeff Saturday, from yesterday, 2 days ago.
Here's the deal. Everybody talks about I'm completely comfortable in who I am as a man, bro. I know I can lead men. I know the game of football, and I'm passionate about it. I have no fear about, are you as qualified as somebody else? Bro, I spent 14 years in a locker room. I went to playoffs 12 times. I got 5 dudes in the Hall of Fame that play with it. You don't think I've seen greatness? You don't think I've seen how people prepare, how they coach, how they GM, how they work? I mean, won Super Bowls, been to 2. Here's the deal, man. None of us are promised a good job. I may be terrible at this. And after 8 games, I'll say, God bless you. I am no good. I may be really good at it. I got no idea, but I dang sure ain't going to back down. I can tell you that. Here's the deal.
Man, that was like some Ted Lasso.
Yeah, man.
The good vibes. The feel-good vibes.
It's a corny, ridiculous situation, and now you're actually and this is exactly what
this guy wins, right?
Yeah. Irsay's listen, we were a laughing stock 24 hours ago, and now people are want to watch and hope that and root for us, right? Because of what this guy just said now. But again,
good play in that sense, but I'm with you.
None
of
this
work?
Is no, God, no. First of all, Scotty, I don't know if you saw this, but with professional play callers and a coach with experience, they got destroyed by New England. Sam Ellinger didn't have a passing yard until almost the end of the first half. They have a big problem, but I think that covers all of the week 9 recap and all of the drama that's transpired over the last week or so. So let's wrap this show up. We'll go one at a time with our week 10 power rankings, man. So I'm going to pull yours up first here. So for you, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, number 1. Proudly welcome to the club. Number 1, Birds now, undefeated, 8-0. Buffalo Bills at 2, Chiefs at 3, Vikings at 4. I think we are in agreement that those are the top 4 teams, right? They have to be at this point. You have the Cowboys 5, Ravens 6. I believe we have the same 6. I forget if I flip-flop the Ravens and Cowboys. I could be wrong. We'll check in a second. It's funny. I don't even remember my own power rankings, but here we are. Then you wrap it up with 2 NFC West teams, Seahawks, Niners, and then Giants, Dolphins. So I believe Miami is proudly back in your top 10. So just kind of walk me through this, man.
Yeah. Miami's the new squad in the building. And they're I expect them to rise up quite a bit. I know there was some people giving me some harps on Twitter about kind of having them as number 10. They just got Tua back. They've just been able to win, 2-3 games here. And quite honestly, they beat the Browns the Bears by 3. They beat the Lions. Excuse me, I'm getting all my team and my animals mixed up. They beat the Lions by I think 3 or 4 points as well. So I'm not jumping the gun too much, but I do expect them to continue to rise. A team, if I could pick one that I expect to fall out of here very soon, New York Giants. I do see it happening. If you take a look at their schedule, not this week, I think they play the Texans this week. But after that, I think their schedule gets a little bit tougher, and we may see them drop a little bit. As we go up the list, the 49ers on this list, and if you have them on yours, I would imagine it's probably for the same reasons. It's completely potential based. They're the only team on this list that is completely potential based. And they're sitting at 4-4 right now, right? That's not the greatest. They're 500, but I expect big things from them coming up soon. Seattle Seahawks, had to give them their flowers. They've just been winning games. Geno Smith has just been playing good football. It's as simple as that. And then Ravens, obviously, they got the W against New Orleans. They continue to look a little bit better. That
Thank you,
defense
by the way.
is starting to look really good. Yes, thank you, Baltimore, for the dub against New Orleans. The Cowboys, they didn't play this week, so I left them in the same spot, quite honestly. Vikings right there. They're 7-1, man, but something about them, I don't believe in it. I'll be honest with you. Maybe I'm hating on the Vikings like people hate on the Eagles, but I just don't believe in it week to week, seeing the way they're beating teams. And a win is a win, to be as fair as I can.
Yeah.
That's why they are number 4. Kansas City, Buffalo. Maybe after this week, those guys change. Maybe even Buffalo slides down. They would have to, if they lose to Minnesota, they would have to go down below Minnesota. So Buffalo is a team I'm very sketchy on now. As sure as I was throughout this entire season. It's crazy how one game, one injury can change your whole perception. But when you're talking about an MVP candidate that gets injured, kind of will do that. But I just looked at the Chiefs and Bills. Obviously, I've had the Bills over the Eagles for a while. I've had the Eagles over the Chiefs for a little bit, but you got 2 losses on your, you know what I mean? Yeah. You already have 2 losses at this point. At some point, the record has to come into effect with these 3 teams, and that is why the Eagles are over the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Even if you don't believe head-to-head that the Eagles are the better team, they have been the better team this season. You had the Chiefs lose to the Colts. I was in an argument about this, about how the Eagles haven't played anybody, but the Chiefs have played this and that. They played the Colts, and they lost to the Colts. So let's look at that first. Same thing with the Bills. They've lost to what? The Dolphins and the Jets this season. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Those are 2 very good teams, but they lost. It's not like they beat the good teams. They lost to them, right? So when I look at it from that sense, 8-0, 6-2, they have to be below. It's as simple as that. But then I would say, as far as the Minnesota Vikings compared to those 2 teams above them, I just think they're a little bit. They're still a tier ahead.
Down.
But we'll see, right? We'll see this week. They get to take on the Bills head on, and maybe the Vikings will move on up the list, man.
I like your list, man, and I'm pretty sure. Let me pull mine up right here. We have the same list outside of one team. So here's my top 10 power rankings heading into week 10. You have the Giants. I have Cincinnati. I think that is the one difference right now. And I think I'm just starting to like Joe Mixon, 5 rushing touchdowns, the way they're getting him the ball in the passing game as well. This is without Jamar Chase. They get to go on the bye week this week. Jamar, it was rumored that he could potentially be back after the bye week. That's why they didn't put him on the injured list and have him out for over a month. So we'll see what happens there. So I have Cincinnati at 10, big win. I know, albeit PJ Walker, Baker Mayfield, Panthers. I get it.
35-0 in the first half.
Yeah. I like the uptick that Cincinnati's on right now, and they don't seem like that underachieving team 3 weeks into the season that they were playing like at the moment. 9, this team has the potential to just be so much higher. But I just need a big win or just the team to look healthy and have a dominant win in San Fran here. You acquired CMC, and the week you did that, you took a beat down to the Chiefs.
They play the Chargers this week.
It's a big one. Then that's good to know, because that's a big one. And then last week you win. CMC does a lot for you, but you were without Debo. So and you were without some pieces defensively. I just want to see what this team looks like as a whole and how explosive and dynamic they can be. So they're at 9 right now with the potential to be so much higher. Seattle, I have at 8 just out of respect at the moment. Geno Smith, like you said, at what point is it not just a fluke? Is it not just a 2-3 week string here?
Right.
They continue to run the football well with Kenneth Walker. DK and Tyler Lockett are somehow producing more than they did with Russell Wilson last season, it feels like. And Pete Carroll's got them playing good. They win close games too, man. Like, they'll grind games out on you. So I like Seattle at 8. At 7, I have the Dallas Cowboys. This might just, like you said, you left them at 5, and this is probably just a little bit of recency bias for me with the wins this week and with not seeing them play. But all in all, their last 2 weeks with Dak back, they've beaten nobody. So I'm not impressed with what the Cowboys have done over the Lions and the Bears. So they're right in the middle of the pack. They are at 7. I have the Baltimore Ravens at 6 right now. Potential to be so much higher. I talked to Phil earlier in the week about it. Phil thinks, I believe you didn't give us a chance. Did I?
I think we did pick Yeah, because they were on a bye week last week, so I think we did go heavy Rams in that episode.
I'm sorry, Terry.
I think we both
I
did
forget
go
that.
Rams just because Debo wasn't playing. They were
Oh,
really beat
you're
up.
correct. You're correct. And
But yeah.
I just silly me. I just kept waiting for the Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay era to continue, and I just keep getting kicked in the ass with
Yeah,
it.
you
Not
and me
happening.
both, man.
It's
You
my
and me-
Super
you and
Bowl
me
pick,
both.
man. So I have to try to ride it as long as I can. But the Ravens are at 6. They have the potential as well to crack that top 4, I feel like, but they just have to do it more consistently, right? And they won against the bad, Andy Dalton and injured New Orleans offense, but they didn't have Mark Andrews themselves, so it was good for them. Miami at 5. You have them lower, and you kind of mentioned how people are giving you some pushback for not higher. I'm not giving you pushback. This is more a projection as well, and I'm looking at their body of work with Tua starting and finishing games. They're dynamic, and Mike McDaniels is slowly becoming like one of the funniest and one of my favorite like coaches to watch. He exploits mismatches. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they're so dynamic. I like the Bradley Chubb addition. So Miami's at 5. Number 4, and now we have the same top 4, right? Eagles 1. I have the Vikings 4, obvious reasons, 1 and 4. And then I just flip-flop Kansas City and Buffalo. I think that the Josh Allen injury could come into really play for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and you could see Buffalo continue to dive down while Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City and those boys just continue to play inspiring football. Like I said, I know they took one on the chin against Buffalo a couple weeks ago. I don't think that really is going to tell the story at the end of the season. And Patrick Mahomes right now, like now to me, it's Mahomes and Hurts for the MVP right now, battling it out. So that is my top 10 heading into week 10.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the MVP front as well. I would even, once again, pick your poison if you want to throw Tua in the convo or if you want to throw Tyreek Hill. You would have to pick one or the other, which I don't know if then you can give either the MVP, but it's an interesting combo. But yeah, I would say it's dwindled down. Josh Allen's gonna, if he's unhealthy, I mean, it is what it is. But if not, he's gonna have to play himself back into that combo for sure. But I think we agree on the juggernauts. I would say as far as the NFL for the most part. Just got to wait and see with teams like 49ers, Dolphins. I'm waiting for them to really pick up and elevate themselves into that upper echelon, closer to where the Vikings, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Eagles are. But we got to wait and see it first. I would put the Ravens in that group as well. I'm waiting for those type of teams to elevate and bring themselves up to the contender series.
All right, man. Let's wrap the show up with one of my favorite segments of the show and a lot of the stuff we do here on DSM Media, and that is the Best Bet segment. And the Best Bet segment is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Gents owns the craft and it shows. Rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area, having multiple award-winning barbers and being able to handle any style of cut, adult or kid. Take a look at some of Gents' work. Book your appointment today at gentsbarberlounge.com. Again, that is www.gentsbarberlounge.com to book your appointment today in Fishtown or Old City. Scotty, best bets of the night, Falcons, Panthers. Just so it's known, I threw it out there in the beginning of the show. I like the Falcons to come away with this win. Have they announced, is Baker starting tonight or are they going with PJ Walker?
They're going with PJ Walker, my man.
I think it's just such a stupid, not that Baker.
I don't get it.
There's no point. There's nothing to save the season. Baker's not going to come in and bring this lifeless team back with the coaching change and the CMC trade and all that. But it's not like you're looking to develop PJ Walker. PJ Walker isn't the future of your franchise. So why not just try to give yourself a better chance to be competitive and win a football game? And that's Baker Mayfield's not high on my list. Baker Mayfield is much higher than PJ Walker is on my list.
I did read the reasoning behind that when I was going through kind of preparing just to highlight this game somewhat. Basically, what their interim head coach Steve Wilkes said was that they're starting PJ Walker because of the way he played the Falcons the last time 2 weeks ago. He had a good game, so that was the reasoning. He went 19 for 36, 300.
Yeah, it was a crazy throw at the end. And by the way, I'm glad you brought that up. I completely forgot that these two teams just met.
Yeah, yeah.
Not even 2 weeks ago at this point.
Deontay
Like,
Foreman had 3 touchdowns in
yeah,
that game,
like this
I
isn't
believe.
even 2 weeks ago at this point. This is a short week now. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you're literally talking like 15 or 12, 13 days. So,
Yeah,
very weird
literally.
scheduling wise. But anyway,
But I'm with
best
you.
bets
I'm
of the
taking
night.
Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
I'm with
I
you.
think it's a 2-point spread, still 2.5, somewhere around there. I'm taking Atlanta
Yeah.
tonight. I sent it to you before they did the boost, but if you're on DraftKings, they have boosted a Cordaro Patterson anytime touchdown to plus $250 max.
Yeah.
So I'm rolling with the Cordaro Patterson boost. It was plus 110. It's now plus 200. And then a same game parlay. But either way, if you're on DraftKings as well, I believe it's a no sweat bet. So you get a free bet back
Yes,
if
sir.
this bet does not hit, if you opt in. Pretty simple for me, man. The odds are plus 910 boosted. So it doesn't sound simple, but I'm rolling with that Cordaro Patterson touchdown. Maybe I'm wrong for double dipping. It could really bite me, but I don't see a way in which he doesn't score. It's supposed to downpour tonight in Carolina. They're going to run the ball. He gets the ball a ton from them out of the backfield. I think Cordaro Patterson definitely scores tonight. I had the Falcons alt spread plus 5.5. I think they win this game. I think it was like minus 360 for the plus 5.5. So it was just an extra little leg to throw in there. I have both running backs, Deontay Foreman and Cordaro Patterson, to rush for 40 plus yards tonight. I have Drake London for over 19.5 receiving yards, and I have Kyle Pitts for over 24.5 receiving yards. So all in all, it's both running backs for 40, one of them for a touchdown, wide receiver 1 for 20 yards, tight end freak for 25 yards, and the favorite to cover plus 5.5.
Yeah.
Plus 910 boosted if you're interested.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. Now, let me ask you this, just for my own clarity.
Yeah.
If you boost the play, is it still covered with the free parlay, like the free parlay insurance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Bet. Because I did that. I just wanted to make sure.
Right. Now, because it's not no sweat in terms of you get your money back bet. Like, it's not like bet 50, you get 50 back. I think it's like a $10 free bet. So it's a little different than some of the things FanDuel runs, but nonetheless, it covers you a little bit.
Just wanted to make sure. Wanted to make sure. But I teased yours down a little bit, and I threw in a different touchdown score. I was, I wanted to, because they do cap you out on that Cordero Patterson boost. But anyways, I went with the this parlay. It comes out to plus 715 with the 30% boost. It's a Deontay Foreman touchdown. He had 3 of them now.
Yeah, I was tempted,
I'm hoping
man.
I don't die on that hill tonight, but
I was just worried if Chuba Hubbard plays and somehow gets the ball.
I feel
But then
that.
again, you got Huntley and Algier in Atlanta too, so you never know.
I do feel you though. I do feel you on the Hubbard case there. I went Foreman in this one. I looked at it as, if he's going back to PJ Walker, he'll go back to Deontay Foreman as well, hopefully. I also took your nod here on the Pitts 25 plus. I have Patterson, same exact thing. Patterson 39.5 plus, Foreman 40 plus, Atlanta plus 5.5. I did leave off the Drake London, not because I don't like it, just because I liked where the odds were at that point. So that's what comes out to plus 715. So Foreman TD, Pitts 25 plus. Same thing with the running backs, 40 plus each, and then Atlanta plus 5.5. And then I did throw a little bit down on a Kyle Pitts anytime touchdown just to have a little bit of flavor. That was plus 245. I didn't throw too much down on it, but just to maybe get my money back for the other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got for you tonight. I'm leaning more into NBA action, which you guys will obviously see on the next show. But yeah, not too bad of plays. I like yours as well, quite honestly. I copied most of it. So
plagiarizing ass. No,
right. Hey, that is not my play. Just the Foreman TD.
He's like, I tweaked it. I changed this word. See.
It is plagiarism, isn't it? Hey, if I wasn't on the show with you, that'd be a little bit different, right?
I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. We win together, we lose together here.
Hey,
but guys, we have about 7 minutes to spare, so let's get up on out of here. Come hang out with myself and Scotty on DSM Media's YouTube channel in just under 10 minutes as we get you ready for the Sixers Hawks matchup on DSM pregame live. Subscribe to the channel. We're still running the giveaway through the end of November, so check out the video. It's pinned on our Twitter, and it's also on the top of our YouTube channel. Comment #DSM, subscribe. It's that simple, but we do have to reach one of the tiers that we have listed. And and you can win yourself a Bryce Harper jersey and or some Eagles tickets on December 4th. So check out the video and come hang out with myself and Scotty and get ready for the Sixers matchup. Have a great rest of your night.